Om Namah Shivaya. So today we will complete the steps for Dhyanam and take the first steps toward Nididhyasanam. In my view, the most important step you can take for Nididhyasanam and Dhyanam is to do this every day. Carve out a space for yourself. Our lives are very busy with a number of requirements for our time. But until you decide that this is important, the rest of the study will not be as effective. So I think that no matter what, you choose a time and place where you are alone with yourself, starting with Dhyanam. The steps of the Dhyanam: Sankalpa, Asanam, looking at observing your sense of touch and so on, don't have to be repeated verbatim. See how you feel and adapt those steps that are somewhat more difficult for you, and do those. But with the few more steps that we will do today, in the views of our acharyas, those are enough for you to prepare yourself for Nididhyasanam. One thing you might consider doing is that after you begin Dhyanam with Asanam and with Sankalpa, those two should be for sure unmovable in the beginning. And perhaps even the review of your sense of touch. But after that, you can vary which steps you will follow and in what sequence you will do. There is no set vidhi. You don't have to find a fixed sequence. See for yourself. For example, after the asanam and sankalpa, You could even begin the Nadi Shuddhi. That could be one way where you would begin. Eventually, just turning the attention to breathing for just a few seconds is enough for you to gain balance and peace. In the beginning, you may resort to the 10 repetitions of Nadi Shuddhi, as we did yesterday. Again, you can just start with that, and let's just do 2 or 3 of those today, and then we will proceed further. In the introduction to Dhyanam, you may consider 4 segments of your observation. The 4 ways to become an observer is to observe your sense organs, the organs of actions have already quietened by asanam, particularly the asanam which is the middle ground between slouching and being too stiff, as we saw in the first day. And the goal of the asana is to maintain the posture for the duration of the meditation. So with that, there is no need to observe the organs of action. They have already become quiet. So the rest of the meditation, rest of the dhyanam can be looked upon as an observer of four things. One is the observation of your sense organs. And here we choose the sense of touch as the best representative of all the five sense organs. So that is number one. Observing your sense organs. Number two is to observe your sthula sharira, the gross body. This is all done with your eyes closed. So we saw a masseuse-like review of your body from top to bottom and back again to the top. This is observation number two. Observation number three is seeing your prana, your breathing. Here, the appreciation of the connection between you, the Jivatma, and our Creator, the Paramatma, can be best appreciated. Even though the connection is there for all of the parts, including sense organs and so on, but it is most visible and easily appreciated in the observation of prana. So this is, as an observer, number three. Observation number four, and the last one, is that of your mind, your thoughts. Thoughts meaning the changes that you observe in your consciousness. We will actually go into more depth when we begin Nididhyasanam. Today itself. But for now, the introduction to the observation of the mind can be done as follows. And as we said before, you can even begin your dhyanam with this step. You can begin your dhyanam on any of the steps other than asanam and sankalpa. The observation of the mind is aided by the sankalpa. The sankalpa consisted of your buddhi, your buddhi telling the mind, listen, I am going to do this nididhyasanam, which is free of all roles, as I am the person, not the personality. So that instruction you have already given to the mind as part of the sankalpa. On this step of the observation, you follow this initial sankalpa with the observation whether your mind is following you or not, and helping your mind to follow you. In this regard, the advice of some acharyas is very useful. They say that one way to look at the observation of the mind is to observe your own children playing and making noise in front of you. And you are asking them to be quiet. Like, for example, if you go to a public place where someone is giving a lecture and everybody is supposed to be quiet, your children are still playing, moving, talking, and you are telling them, shh, quiet. This is a good way to observe if your mind is following your sankalpa. A further way of making this effective is to see whether the mind is talking about the past or doing the present activity or worried about the future. So one good way to implement the observation of the mind is to be specific. If your mind is dwelling in the past, and this segment is the most prevalent, this happens most frequently. You are reliving the past. What am I supposed to do? What was I doing? Why did this happen? I wonder what this person meant when he told me this. I wonder how my children are doing, etc. So this classification of the mind related to the past is useful. Useful because you have identified the type of noise that the mind is making. And you can even say, please don't be worried about the past, because that is also a role. Remember, we were not going to play roles. So please do not dwell in the past. Then the next one is the present. I wonder what's going on. What should I be doing? Similarly, identify if the thoughts are in the present. Lastly, see if your thoughts are worried about the future. This one is the easiest one to identify and control. So with these, what I would consider to be techniques, these constitute the observation of the mind. If you need to, it's very likely, very possible that with the regular practice of dhyanam, you will not need to go this way very formally. In fact, from my experience, when you make a commitment to do this dhyanam as the preliminary step for nididhyasanam every day, by closing the doors, putting your cell phone away, and just sitting by yourself, even if it is for just 5 minutes, hopefully more than that, just the very act of your decision and a sincere follow-up on a daily basis immediately gives the signal to your mind, to your breathing, to your body, to your sense organs, that this person means business. He's going to review my performance. I better cooperate. In my experience, if you do this without fail on a daily basis, you will find that you don't have to go through the steps in the detail that we have. Your mind will shape up and follow your directions. There is another step that we will do when time permits, but let me give you some very initial ideas about Nididhyasana. In just a few more minutes left. And we will develop this from tomorrow. As we said earlier, the mind represents the movement of your consciousness. That's what the word mind or manaha means. Manovrittihi. So vrittihi means movement. Now just see this. See the movement of your consciousness, kind of like a wave in the ocean, dancing, moving, playing in front of you. But can you see the consciousness itself from which this movement takes place? Can you see the consciousness that you are? Which moves and stops moving? Don't you see the consciousness which is there always, at all times, in every possible place, in every possible time? Don't you see that you are that consciousness from which the movement takes place and to which the movement dissolves? Don't you see you are actually the ocean of consciousness? Can you not see this? We don't notice the ocean of consciousness. We are so absorbed in the movement of the wave. This is what we are focused on in playing roles in my life, the movement. But underlying the movement, the very source of the movement is the ocean of consciousness. When does it disappear? Is it possible for disappearance? Can you ever see that your consciousness stops? Can you not see that this consciousness is never beginning? Only the movement is beginning and ending. There is no movement or beginning in the ocean. Like the ocean is always there. Only the waves come and go. Similarly, your thoughts are the movement of your consciousness, but the consciousness itself is there without any movement. Just see this fact. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.